He was the most powerful king who commanded thousands, and conquered everything. But he's suddenly transported to another world, and he hears a voice, telling him to seek the light in his next life. He wakes up to two strangers looking at him, and they talk about how he looks just like them. They call him Arthur, and he realizes he's been reincarnated into another world. He can't believe he was turned into a baby, and he soils himself, but he notes that his parents take good care of him. He finds his body like a prison, since he can't move the way he wants, and he wishes it was all a dream. But he soon realizes this world is different, as his father Reynold uses magic and smashes a boulder. But a fragment hits him, so his wife Alice heals him with her spell, and Arthur notes that their powers didn't exist in his old world. Reynold goes on a hunt with his friends, and a boar charges at him, but he takes it head on, and he easily defeats it. He returns home, and goes to hug his wife, but he realizes that his hands are dirty. Arthur thinks it's a dangerous world, since everyone's allowed to use weapons, so he's determined to get stronger as soon as possible. Alice asks Reynold if he's okay, so he tells her not to worry, because he just finished an easy job, and she tells Arthur it's time to nap. He's frustrated because he can't do what he wants, but he thinks his peaceful life isn't so bad. He recalls how he used to deal with assassins in his world, so he wasn't able to sleep when he wanted to. After a few days, Arthur's parents watch him as he learns how to crawl, and he sees himself in the mirror. They think he looks cute, but he still isn't used to being treated like a baby, and he comes up with a plan to get stronger. Alice kisses him, and leaves him in his crib, but he manages to escape, and slowly makes his way to the library. While she's busy washing the dishes, he reads a book about the world he lives in, and learns that he's on the Dicathnon continent, which contains 3 kingdoms. The Darth Kingdom is an underground nation of dwarves, while the Elenir Kingdom is home to the forest elves. The humans live in the Sapin Kingdom, which has the highest population, and Arthur realizes that it's ruled by a king. But unlike in his old world, the throne is inherited and not seized. He takes a book about magic, and realizes that the world's technology is primitive, because the people are focused on developing their magic. We learn that mana is their source of power, and the ability to control it mostly comes down to genetics, but only 1% of the population can use it. He reads about the 2 applications of mana, which are known as augmenting and conjuring. Augmenters use their mana to enhance their physical abilities, while conjurers project it to cast spells. He learns about the mana cores, which allow people to control their mana, and they usually develop when a person reaches puberty. But he learns that he can create a mana core by channeling his mana into a single point in his body, and he realizes it's similar to ki, which was his source of power during his past life. He tries to use his knowledge of ki to create his mana core, but Alice suddenly grabs him, telling him he shouldn't make her worry, and she takes him back to his crib. After 2 years, we see Alice writing about her experience with Arthur, but she wonders why she has never seen him smile. She sees him training with Reynold, who teaches him how to wield a sword, but she gets upset, thinking Arthur is still too young. Alice heads to the town with Arthur, who looks at the items for sale, realizing most of them don't exist in the world he lived in. He watches a man use fire magic, and when they return home, he notes that he's enjoying his new life, because his parents are always looking after him. We learn that during his previous life, he was raised as an orphan, so he never knew what it was like to be loved by his parents. Alice tells him she enjoys every moment she spends with him, telling him he's just like his father. So she thinks he'll also become an adventurer when he grows up, but she wants him to live a peaceful life. He watches Reynold as he uses his mana to launch rocks into the air, and he thinks he was able to impress Arthur, but he notes that it would be faster if he just picked them up. Alice tells him it's time for his nap, but he wants to read instead, and he uses his cuteness to convince her to let him do it. She leaves him in the library, and he works on creating his mana core. He focuses all of his mana into a single point in his body, but there's suddenly an explosion, and Reynold shields Alice with his body. He asks her if she's okay, but she mentions that Arthur is inside, so they rush to find him, but they realize he awakened his powers, and they can't believe it, because he's only 2 years old. He thinks he has made the first step to becoming stronger, but the roof suddenly collapses, and he's about to be crushed. He realizes he was careless, and thinks it's too early for him to die, but his parents save him. Reynold pushes the debris away, and they start crying, because they thought they'd lost him. But he doesn't understand why they're getting emotional, since he didn't know what it was like to have parents, and he also starts crying, but he struggles to understand his emotions. In a flashback, a man is accused of trying to kill Arthur, and the council tells him to return to his homeland, where he will be tried for his crimes, but he admits that he's guilty, and begs Arthur to spare his family, because they'll have a fate worse than death if they go back. The council refuses to listen to him. But Arthur kills his wife and daughter, and everyone's shocked by his actions, but they recognize it as an act of mercy, because the man's family won't have to suffer for the rest of their lives, and the man thanks him for granting his wish. We return to the present, as Reynold gives Arthur his gloves, but he refuses to take it, and decides to use his sword instead. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.